Welcome back, everyone. Mr. P here again, and as promised, I am finally bringing my review of the Final Fantasy III Pixel Remaster, which I finally beat sometime last week, and I am currently working on number 4, which shouldn't take quite as long as this one did. I know, took a bit longer than expected, but you'll soon learn why.
It's been 84 years.
Unlike Gerard the Completionist, this isn't a full-time job for me, so I have to play when I can. Plus, I went a bit overboard with the game. For reference, FF1 took me about 10 hours to beat, FF2 took a little over 20, and this one took over 60. Bit of a time jump, obviously. Let's find out why, and how this game holds up. But first, do the clicky subscribe thing. I demand it. Okay, so it's more like a friendly request. A favor. You know, like a guy coming up off the street to ask for money for suspect reasons.
Excuse me, big man. Big man. Right quick. Can I ask you a question, biggest of man? I got a question right quick.
So, by now, it should be obvious that the Pixel Remasters all have similar boost features, such as more XP and gil, as well as the possibility to ratchet those down and even turn off random encounters. Arranged and original versions of the soundtracks are available, and the scanline filter as well. Now, with all of that out of the way, what's new in this game? As far as the series is concerned, this was the introduction of the job system that would later become a staple in Final Fantasy V, Final Fantasy Tactics, Stranger of Paradise, and even Final Fantasy XIV to an extent. Essentially, your character can pick different jobs such as Monk, Black Mage, White Mage, Fighter, and numerous other jobs like Dragoon and Scholar. Each has abilities unique to that class, there being a total of 23 total. 21 of those are found in the main story, the final 2 being found in the last optional dungeon of the game, Eureka. Unlike Eureka in FF14, there's no ridiculous grinding for light and having to coordinate with dozens of players to do content nobody really enjoyed, even if they claimed to. Maybe that's just me. I did keep my relic gear though, which is all glowy and fancy. Now, speaking of grinding, this is where my playtime ballooned out of control. Unlike, say, FF5, where you earn levels by grinding enemies for job points, you level up jobs in this game by the number of actions performed with that job. So, if it takes you 4 actions to level up a job, even if it's over multiple battles, if you perform 4 actions with a specific job, it will go up a level, all the way to level 99. Now, there's a really easy way to do this. Essentially, you can level all your starting jobs, any job for that matter, in the starting zone of the game since it's action dependent, not XP dependent. So what I did was run around the cottage in the back of town fighting goblins and grinding all jobs to max level. Now, job level and character level are independent of each other. So you could have a level 5 character using a job at level 99, like Monk. Job level determines how effective you are with a class, and it also affects stats like strength, stamina, etc. So if you want to level up and get max HP, a job like Master or Viking has a high stamina rating and you'll gain more HP every time you level. That's really about the only stat that affects what happens when you level. Everything besides HP is based on your job. This also means a low-level character in the early game with a high job level is going to do a lot of damage and make things easier. Oh, and a side note here, this version no longer requires the use of points to change jobs or gives you a temporary debuff after changing. Anyway, the easiest way to do this is to get into battles, kill all but one enemy, set up everyone to defend, use auto battle, and let the enemy attack for a few turns and then finish the battle. On average, about 4 to 5 rounds in a fight is all it takes to gain 1 level. If you get things into a routine, you can max out a job usually in about an hour a pop. Also, remember when I said there are 23 jobs in the game? Yeah, that's 23 hours of killing goblins to max out all jobs over the course of my playthrough. Now, you may be asking yourself, why? Why would you do this to yourself, Mr. P?
Why?
Because it wouldn't feel right if I didn't try to see how overpowered you can get by doing this. I want to be able to curb stomp the game like I was Ed Norton. Plus, after all that grinding, it's almost like, okay, now what? Well, now I can finally get to the game.
What do we do now? What do you mean? Now we can finally play the game. Oh yeah.
Now, Was any of this actually necessary? Not at all.
Necessary? Is it necessary for me to drink my own urine? Probably not. No, but I do it anyway because it's sterile and I like the taste.
You see, by doing this, I learned something very interesting. There are times the game wants you to use certain jobs to finish a certain dungeon or fight a specific boss. For example, they kind of want you to fight Garuda with Dragoons, finish the Shadow Dungeon or whatever it's called with Dark Knights. After you get Scholar, they talk about using its ability to identify a boss's magical weakness. The problem is, most of the time, these jobs are useless any other time in the game due to the fact that other jobs are just usually better for any other situation. Jobs in this game are more like solutions to a puzzle. Sometimes, though, the best solution is brute force, baby. Fight Garuda with Dragoons to avoid getting wiped out? Sure, I could do that. Or I could use a party of all level 99 monks/masters. Use the Dark Knight to stop enemies from splitting in the Shadow Dungeon? I mean, I guess. Or I could just punch them into next week. They can't split if they all die in one shot. This basically applies to just about every boss fight and every enemy in the game. And yet, I felt compelled to level every job to max, even if I had no intention of using it.
Stop it. Get some help.
Now, as if that wasn't bad enough, I also leveled all my characters to 99 and then grinded out gear in the Crystal Tower for the Onion Knight job, the weakest job in the game, until you max it out. The problem is that these pieces of armor are drops from green, yellow, and red dragons in the Crystal Tower. Not only is this encounter rate low, the drop tables are abysmal too. The Onion Sword only has about a 1% chance to drop. Like, 75% of the time you get elixirs. Also, if you aren't fighting these things at max level, it can take forever. So it's best to grind out those levels in Bahamut's Cave by killing off all but one character so they get the full XP and crank the XP multiplier up to 4x. I got each character to 99 starting from around level 55 to 60 in about an hour or so. Now, when you get a full set of Onion equipment and are at level 99, aside from the scripted fight near the end of the game, it is next to impossible to die because nothing can hit you or do more than a couple points of damage. It turns the last dungeon into a victory lap before stomping the final boss into the ground. Of course, this grind took over 10 more hours of grinding to do, so you better have something to watch or listen to while you run around in circles hoping RNGesus gives you what you need. Is it worth it? Meh. I love being super OP and laughing at the ridiculous power gap. I really do. As I've said before, there's no kill like overkill. I would recommend only maxing out certain jobs you plan on using. For me, Monk and Master were really the only ones worth it, though having a white and black magic user for areas where you're forced to use nothing but magic is worth it too. That's the beauty of it. You can pick whatever job you want and customize your playthrough however you want. However, I absolutely do not recommend grinding all jobs to 99. I almost burn out on the game doing that. Onion Knight is fun to do at least once. I'd say beat it normally, then go for the Onion Knight route just to experience playing through the end on God mode. Now, as for the story, it's pretty meh. This is a remaster of the original NES version, so there are no canonical names, but the bestiary and loot tables seem to be taken from the 3DS version. I named my characters after the current members of Metallica, because why not? This game also starts the proud tradition of killing off characters, but not really. Only 3 characters come to mind that actually died, and 2 of them still function as spirits at the end of the game to save you with the power of friendship. Incidentally, if you played through the Crystal Tower raids in FF14, which is now mandatory now that I think about it because of Shadowbringers, this will let you see where some of the inspiration for that storyline came from. Still, the main story is really just about some orphans who work in caves, discover a crystal, get jobs, and then go off to kill stuff. Pretty sure there's some labor laws violated with that, but whatever. It is a Hard Knocks life after all.
Yeah.
Beyond that, there's the introduction of the concept of balance between the elements of light and darkness, what happens if one gets out of balance and floods the world, and the concept of the Warriors of Darkness. All concepts heavily expanded on in FF14 and Shadowbringers. Definitely worth your time to play through that game, even if it does take a couple hundred hours to work through the expansions.
Great community, by the way.
Other than that, there isn't much to say about the story. I'd say it's a step backwards from the second one, but the concepts introduced that are used later in the series are worth getting to see in their infancy. Overall, the game is decent, but not the best of the series. I think I would have enjoyed it more had I not been going overboard, and perhaps the story would have been more engaging had I not stopped every time I got a new set of jobs and grinded them for multiple hours to max them out. Still, it's worth playing through at least once to experience the origin of the job system and some other tropes of the series. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one. Final Fantasy IV is in the works, and I'm probably halfway through the game at this point. However, Diablo 4 comes out soon, if it hasn't already by the time I finish this video, and I'll be playing that and giving you guys my initial thoughts on that game as well. Anyway, like, subscribe, etc., and let me know what your experience is like with Final Fantasy III. Until then, take care.